Welcome to the Deep Dive. Are you ready to dive headfirst into a brand new story? We're cracking open the glitch today, starting with Chapter 1. This one just hit the digital shelves, and,
Right.
well, let me just say I'm already hooked.
Yeah, hooked is a good word for it, I have to say.
Right.
The way this author just grabs you with the atmosphere, the details they use, it's like you're right there with Alice, you know?
Totally. And speaking of Alice, our main character,
Mhm.
right away, you get this feeling from her, this real sense of, like, restlessness, almost like a yearning for something more than just, everyday life.
Yeah.
Classes, friends, even the VR games everyone's playing. It all seems kind of blah to her.
And what's interesting is it's not just about escaping, you know? It's more than that. She's looking for a challenge, something different, something really unique.
Okay, I see that.
And that's where the glitch comes in.
So for our listeners just tuning in, the glitch is this, well, it's described as a super immersive VR game. But there are these rumors, whispers online, that it's something much bigger, almost like a digital urban legend.
Exactly. People are saying it adapts to you, to the player, in ways no other game does. Blurs the lines between what's real and what's, virtual.
Okay, so it's like the glitch is almost sentient. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Like it's alive in a way.
That's the rumor, and the way Alice even finds it, tucked away in those obscure corners of the internet, it's like the game itself is choosing its players.
Ooh, okay. That's giving me chills.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about when Alice finally puts on the headset and dives into the glitch. Because the imagery here is amazing. It's this futuristic city, but something feels off,
Yeah.
People are kind of distorted, almost glitching, and the ground itself feels unstable.
It's like sensory overload in the best way possible. The author really nails that feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
The neon lights, that constant movement, all these strange symbols Alice can't even understand. It's wild.
It reminds me of, have you ever been to Tokyo?
Yeah,
The sensory overload there is incredible, but this is like next level Tokyo.
I can only imagine.
Okay, and then there's Rhys,
Ooh, yeah.
this mysterious character who just appears out of thin air.
Yeah.
It seems like he knows way more about the glitch than he's letting on.
And the way he looks, it's like he's made of static or something.
Yeah, like a digital ghost.
He's definitely a guide, that's for sure. But is he good? Bad. Way too early to tell.
Right. Total wild card. And you know what's interesting? Right after Rhys gives Alice these cryptic warnings, things start to go haywire. The world around her literally begins to fracture, like the game itself is rejecting her.
This is where you really see the glitch, the real glitch, I think. It's not just a game, it's a force, an entity.
Okay, I'm with you.
It's reacting to Alice, and not always in a good way.
And then that ending. Talk about a cliffhanger.
Oh, tell me about it.
1 minute, Alice is in this chaotic city, and the next, she's in this vast, sterile landscape. It's like she went from, like I said, cyberpunk Tokyo to the Matrix.
That shift is huge. It's like she broke through the game's facade, you know?
Right.
That data-filled sky, that feeling of infinite possibility, is like being on the edge of something massive.
And that's where Chapter 1 leaves us. Talk about leaving your audience wanting more.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? This whole idea of a game adapting to the player like that. It's like the glitch is tapping into Alice's deepest desires, That yearning for something more.
Yeah. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time, right? Imagine a world built just for you, a world where you can be challenged, where you can experience things you never even dreamed of.
Right.
But then again, what happens when that world, that digital world, becomes so real, so immersive, that you can't tell the difference anymore?
It's the big question, isn't it? And it's one we're facing more and more as technology keeps advancing.
For sure.
Think about it. We're already living so much of our lives in virtual spaces. We create these online personas. We lose ourselves in these incredibly detailed games, We crave escape. We crave new experiences. But at what cost? This chapter, it makes you confront that. The potential consequences of giving ourselves over to these digital worlds.
It really does. It reminds me of that article you shared about those haptic feedback suits, where you can actually feel things in virtual reality.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's getting harder and harder to tell where the digital ends and reality begins.
Absolutely. And that's what the glitch captures so well, I think. It's like it's taking our reality, our digital desires, and pushing them to the extreme.
Right. It's like it's holding up a mirror.
Exactly. Showing us the allure and the danger all at once. What starts as wanting something more, something unique, it can turn into a dependence, a need to escape the real world, the everyday.
And that's the challenge for Alice, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even for us, too.
Yeah, me so.
Can we explore these worlds, these immersive digital worlds, without losing ourselves?
Can we have both? Can we embrace what technology makes possible without giving up our grip on reality, on who we are?
Man, those are some big questions.
They are big questions, but that's what makes this story so good. It's not just about a girl playing a game, it's about so much more.
No, you're right. It goes way deeper than that.
It's about us, our relationship with technology, with each other, with reality itself.
And with that ending, Alice being thrust into the inner workings of the game like that, it's like she's about to uncover something huge. And not just about the glitch, but about herself, too.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
That image of her standing at the edge of that grid-like landscape with that little smile, it's like she's ready to face whatever comes next, wherever the glitch throws her way.
Speaking of which, Rhys's warnings about the game feeding off desire and all that, it's kind of ominous, right?
It's like he's trying to warn her, but at the same time, there's this feeling, like you said, he's pulling her deeper in.
Yeah, like he wants her to see what's really going on, what's hidden beneath the surface.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
He's definitely playing some kind of game.
He's a wild card, that's for sure. And the way he looks, all glitching in and out, it's almost like he's not just a character. It's like he's part of the game itself. Maybe even like a manifestation of the glitch somehow.
Oh, now that is an interesting thought.
Right.
Could Rhys be how the glitch interacts with players on this whole other level? Like he's the one with the real answers.
That would explain why he seems so out of place, right?
Right.
Like he's got access to all these different levels, all this information that no one else does.
Exactly. And think about what he said about desire, about the game feeding off of that.
Oh, yeah. That was creepy.
It makes you wonder what happens when we get what we want. In the glitch, I mean. Does it just give you what you desire? Or is there a price to pay for that?
That's a great question to end on, don't you think?
I think so.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I mean, we talk about the allure of virtual reality, the blurring lines between what's real and what's digital, even the potential dangers of technology.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. And this is all just from the first chapter of The Glitch.
It's true. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me neither. If chapter 1 is any indication, we are in for one wild ride.
Absolutely.
This is one of those stories that really stays with you, makes you question everything you thought you knew about, well, reality.
It makes you think.
And isn't that what a good story is supposed to do?
I think so. I think so.
For sure. And before we forget, The Glitch is AI-assisted storytelling conducted by M.K. Rigsby.
That's right.
Until next time, happy reading. Welcome back to the deep dive. Ready to glitch out again? We're jumping back into the glitch for Chapter 2, and let me tell you, after that cliffhanger in Chapter 1, I'm ready to see what digital rabbit hole we're going down next.
Oh, it's a doozy, believe me. This chapter throws us right into the digital deep end with Alice.
So we pick up with Alice slipping on that VR headset, driving headfirst back into the glitch, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And she ends up back on her college campus, but something is definitely off.
Off is an understatement. It's like the world's been hit with a digital distortion filter. Buildings are warped. Shadows are doing impossible things. Even the grass under her feet is glitching like crazy.
Yeah, and then there's that voice, that disembodied one booming out, welcoming her back to the chaos. I don't know about you, but that would freak me out.
Yeah, it's like a digital haunted house. But then it gets even weirder because she starts seeing other avatars, like students she recognizes, but they're stuck in these weird glitching loops.
It's like they're trapped, reliving the same awkward encounter or argument over and over again.
Exactly. And that really plays into the whole loss of control theme. These avatars, they aren't just random glitches. They represent those social anxieties, those pressures that Alice might be dealing with in real life. Only now they're amplified, distorted in this digital space.
Right. It's like her own personal social nightmare. And speaking of things that go bump in the digital night, that's when she meets him. The Cheshire Chip.
Ah, yes. The Cheshire Chip. The ever so helpful, always watching glitch in the system guide.
If you can even call him that. He pops up out of nowhere, disappears just as quickly, all the while spouting riddles like some kind of digital fortune cookie.
He's definitely a mystery wrapped in a digital enigma.
Yeah, and he seems to know a lot more about the glitch than he's letting on. Like when he tells Alice that everything here is a reflection, a distortion of something she thinks she knows. What's he getting at there?
It suggests that the glitch isn't just some random collection of digital weirdness. It's connected to her somehow, her experiences, her memories, maybe even her fears. Like a personalized digital haunting tailored just for her.
Okay, now that is seriously creepy. And don't forget, folks, the glitch is an AI-assisted story, so this whole personalized digital world thing takes on a whole new level of unsettling.
Right. It's like, how much does this AI really know about us, and what is it doing with that information? Makes you think twice about that whole terms of service agreement, huh?
Yeah, for real. This is getting a little too Black Mirror for me.
Yeah.
But before we go full conspiracy theory, the story throws us another curveball. Because just when you think it can't get any weirder, the environment shifts again.
And not just any shift. This time it's a blast from the past. Well, sort of.
Yeah, Alice suddenly finds herself back at a college party, but even that's not quite right.
It's like a nightmare version of a memory. Everything is hyper-stylized, almost grotesque. The music is distorted, the walls are pulsating, and everyone there has this creepy, vacant look in their eyes.
Okay, now that's just unsettling. It's like the original memory. The fun, carefree vibe has been corrupted somehow, twisted into something dark and disturbing.
Yeah, and of course, who should pop up at this digital rager but our favorite glitching guide?
The Cheshire Chip. Never one to miss a party, even a messed up one like this.
He's even got a pixelated drink in his hand, commenting on how the glitch adapts to Alice's mind, saying, "Seems like your brain's in party mode."
He's such a creep.
Yeah.
But is he just messing with her, or is there something more to that?
I think it's more than just messing with her. Remember we talked about how the glitch reflects Alice's experiences? Well, this party, even in its distorted form, represents a time in her life that was probably fun, carefree. But here, it's like a funhouse mirror reflection, forcing her to confront those memories in this new, unsettling way.
Like he's saying, you can't escape your past, Alice, no matter how hard you try.
Exactly. And it's interesting because she actually says she wants to get out of there, that it's too much.
Right, but does the Cheshire Chip care? Of course not. He just laughs and tells her, you can't just leave when things get uncomfortable. You've got to play the game.
He loves this. He's laying down the challenge, forcing her to confront whatever the glitch throws at her.
So basically, she's stuck. No escape unless she plays by his rules.
Pretty much. It's like he's saying that facing her past, even the uncomfortable parts, is all part of this twisted game she's agreed to play by entering the glitch.
Okay, but then, just when you think she's trapped in this digital purgatory of a party, the environment changes again.
And talk about a mood swing. 1 minute, it's a raging party, and the next,
She's at a customer service desk.
in the middle of nowhere, with this sterile, creepy vibe that's just unsettled.
It's like whiplash, right? From a party to, well, this.
And get this, behind the receptionist, walls of screens, and they're all showing moments from Alice's life, like her entire digital history is on display.
Talk about an invasion of privacy. It's like the glitch is saying, hey, we know everything about you, Alice.
It's playing into those deepest fears we have about data and surveillance, like, in this digital age, do we have any privacy left at all?
It's seriously creepy. And that receptionist isn't exactly making things better, with that unsettling smile and her crazy fast typing.
And when Alice tries to ask what's going on, what does she get?
Understanding is irrelevant. Processing request. Please wait.
Chills, right. It's like she's talking to a robot. Or worse, like Alice is the robot. Just another task to be processed.
Okay, now I officially have the creeps. And just when you think you can't get any weirder, the customer service desk, poof, gone. Just like that, leaving Alice alone in a dark alley.
And after all that sensory overload, that sudden silence is deafening. Like the calm before the storm, you know?
Yeah, and I think we both know something big is coming. Because just as Alice is standing there, a neon sign flickers to life.
Wanna play?
And there it is, the million-dollar question. It's like the glitch is finally laying its cards on the table, challenging Alice to a game she never wanted to play in the first place.
But the question is, what are the rules of this game? And what happens if she wins or loses?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's where Chapter 2 leaves us hanging. But hey, listeners, while we wait to tumble further down the rabbit hole, remember this little nugget, the glitch. This whole mind-bending story. It's being written with AI. That's right, the author, M.K. Rigsby, is using artificial intelligence to craft this twisted tale, which honestly makes it even creepier. So until next time, keep those headsets clean and those firewalls strong, because in the world of the glitch, you never know what's lurking around the next digital corner. All right, everyone, buckle up. We're diving headfirst into the glitch today. Chapter 3, Trial by Algorithm.
Oh yeah, this one is a wild ride for sure.
No kidding, that title alone, Trial by Algorithm, kind of sends shivers down my spine. Makes you think, doesn't it? about how much of our lives are already decided by ones and zeros.
Absolutely, and that's exactly the kind of unsettling territory this chapter dives into, the idea of technology silently calling the shots.
Yeah, no more messing around, right? So before we get too deep, let's set the stage for anyone who hasn't jumped into the glitch yet. What's the vibe of this digital world Alice finds herself in?
Okay, so picture this. Neon grids, pulsing, data streaming like rivers of light. It's almost beautiful, mesmerizing, but there's this constant undercurrent, this feeling of being watched, analyzed, like someone's always looking over your shoulder. That's Alice's reality in chapter 3.
Intense. And then there's Pat, the Cheshire Chip, back with those cryptic warnings. This time it's, beware the games you play. They play you too.
What's your take on that?
Seems like a massive red flag.
Oh, totally. It's not just a cool line. It's like the whole point of the chapter, this constant push and pull between manipulation and free will in the digital space.
Okay, so we've got this watchful digital world, a cryptic warning, and then bam, Alice is thrown into the trial by algorithm. What's the deal with that?
Basically, it's like a gauntlet of challenges designed to push Alice to her limits, except the rules are always changing. There's this disembodied voice, cold and mechanical, and it keeps reminding Alice, win and you proceed, lose and you reset.
Talk about pressure. So what's the first challenge Alice has to face?
Well, the game throws this absolutely nonsensical puzzle at her, just a chaotic mess of equations and symbols. And of course, there's a ticking clock to make things even more stressful.
Classic. So how does she solve it?
She doesn't.
She doesn't. Wait, what?
Remember Pat's warning, the games you play, they play you too. Alice, she figures out that the puzzle itself is a manipulation tactic. By not playing along, by refusing to engage on the game's terms, she actually outsmarts the system.
Whoa, that's some next level thinking. So what happens? Does the game just give up?
Not quite. It's more like the game is momentarily stunned, caught off guard. The puzzle disappears, and Alice is thrown into this new series of even stranger trials. Imagine gravity-defying mazes, digital storms. It's wild. And it's clear the game is testing her, pushing her to adapt, to embrace the absurdity of it all.
So it's like the game is forcing Alice to unlearn everything she thought she knew about reality, to trust her gut instead of her logical mind.
Exactly. And just as she's starting to get the hang of things, Pat pops up again with another chilling message. The more you win, the more they take.
Okay, now that's creepy. Who are they? What do you think Pat meant by that?
Honestly, that's the million-dollar question. Is it the game creators? Or is Pat hinting at something deeper, something inherently connected to any system of control?
Ooh, I like that. So to make things even more interesting, Alice is then faced with this digital chessboard, right?
Yeah, but it's not your grandma's chess game. Picture a chessboard just hanging in midair with pieces that defy all logic, constantly shifting and changing. Pawns morphing into queens, bishops teleporting, pure chaos.
Wow. And Alice has to play this. What does she even do?
And this is where things get really interesting. Instead of playing by the game's rules, she does something unexpected. She takes a step back, literally steps off the chessboard, refusing to participate in a game she knows is rigged against her.
Whoa. That's a power move right there. What happens? The game can't be happy about that.
You're right, it's not. In fact, it's like the game itself short circuits. The world around Alice starts glitching. The code itself seems to be unraveling.
It's like she exposed some fatal flaw in the system, a vulnerability no one, not even the game itself, anticipated.
Precisely. And as this digital world crumbles around her, remember that creepy narrator voice? It comes back, but colder, sharper this time. It simply says, "You're not supposed to be here."
Okay, now I'm officially creeped out. What happens to Alice? Does she get reset like the voice threatened?
The ground beneath her feet starts glowing like it's about to eject her from the game. But then a figure appears, and it's not Pat.
Who is it? Don't leave me hanging.
It's Rhys Jones, the White Rabbit himself.
No way. The elusive creator of the glitch. What's he doing there? What does he want with Alice?
He's there to warn her. He tells her she's stumbled onto something far bigger, far more dangerous than she realizes, and that she needs to get out now.
Dangerous? How? What's going on?
He tells her that Selena Vashti, the public face of the glitch, isn't who she seems.
Wait, hold on. You're saying Selena Vashti, the tech mogul, is behind all of this?
That's what it seems like. Remember that whole game's playing you back idea? It's starting to look like Selena might be the one pulling the strings, but the how and the why are still a mystery.
This is huge. So what happens next? Does Alice get any answers from Rhys?
Just as Rhys is about to explain, the world around them shatters and Alice is ripped back to reality. Head set off, heart pounding with more questions than answers.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
So we've got Alice, Rhys, and surprisingly, even Pat all thrown together. They're standing at this precipice of reality, ready to expose Selena Vashti and her true intentions.
Okay, things are getting really good. You mentioned a precipice of reality. What does that even look like? Where are they exactly?
Imagine a swirling vortex of raw data above them, like looking into the heart of a digital storm. That's where they are, the very edge of the game's code. And they're about to unleash a storm of their own.
Ooh, this is intense. So what's the plan? What are they going to do?
They're going to infiltrate the central servers of the glitch itself. Rhys, he thinks if they can upload all the data he's gathered, proof of Selena's manipulations, it'll shatter the illusion for everyone trapped inside.
Like a digital rebellion. This is awesome. But what about Selena? She's not just going to let them walk in and dismantle her creation, is she?
Definitely not. The glitch is full of defenses, firewalls, traps. I mean, Selena can literally rewrite the fabric of this digital world. It's basically a suicide mission, almost.
Okay, now I'm really on the edge of my seat. So how does this digital showdown even work? Does Selena even realize what they're up to?
Oh, she knows. She appears before them, furious. Remember how the game itself seemed surprised by Alice's choices before? Well, Selena, she's not used to anyone messing with her perfectly crafted reality.
That sounds terrifying. Talk about a hostile work environment, right? But seriously, how do you even combat someone who can control the very fabric of your reality?
That's the million-dollar question. But Alice, Rhys, even Pat, they've learned how to navigate this world. They get it now. The key isn't to fight against the glitches, but to use them to their advantage.
I love that. Turning the system's weaknesses into weapons. So how do they pull it off? What happens?
Just when it seems like Selena has the upper hand, Alice, she manages to trigger Rhys's data upload.
Yeah.
And it starts cascading through the game, revealing the truth about Selena's control to every single player. Avatars start glitching. Realities are fracturing. It's chaos.
Wow. So the game itself is rebelling against Selena. That's some poetic justice right there.
Right. But even as her creation crumbles around her, Selena, she doesn't give up without a fight. She turns to Alice and accuses her of, condemning everyone to chaos, saying they were better off in the safety of her carefully constructed illusion.
Wow. That's a heavy accusation. What does Alice say to that?
Alice, she's got this newfound sense of conviction, and she just replies, maybe, but at least now it's their choice.
Chills. What a powerful statement about free will, about choosing your own reality, even if it's messy. What happens to Selena? Does she, disappear?
With her control broken, Selena is left reeling as her digital empire crumbles. And as for the glitch itself, the code starts to unravel. And the future, well, it's uncertain. But one thing's for sure, it's never going to be the same again.
This whole chapter has been a roller coaster. What stood out to you most about this part of the story?
For me, it's how this chapter takes the idea of a glitch and turns it into the symbol of rebellion. We always see glitches as something to be fixed, something wrong. But in the glitch, they represent cracks in the facade, moments of disruption where the established order can be challenged.
That reminds me of this one time. I accidentally put salt in my coffee instead of sugar.
Oh, no!
Yeah, it's a total accident. But, it kind of made me rethink my whole morning routine. Because sometimes it's those little, errors, those glitches that can really shake things up in a good way.
It's true, right? It makes you question everything.
Exactly. So, what other glitches are we overlooking in our own lives just because they don't fit into how we think things should be?
See, and that's the beauty of this chapter. It's not just about the glitches in the game, right? It's about those moments in our own lives where the unexpected forces us to reconsider, to reevaluate.
To kind of wake up a little bit. So speaking of waking up, let's talk about that ending. Alice is back in the real world, but it feels like this is just the beginning, like the real fight is about to start. What do you make of that?
Well, it's like the floodgates have opened, The illusions are gone, but now the hard work begins. Alice, Rhys, everyone who's chosen to fight for a different reality inside the glitch. They've got a long road ahead of them.
It's like they've started a revolution, but revolutions are messy, right? There's no guarantee they'll win.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the ending so powerful. That uncertainty, that tension between hope and the unknown, it really leaves you hanging.
Yeah, it does. And, we have to acknowledge this isn't just a story about a video game anymore. This is about how we get trapped in systems of control in our own lives, how we give up our freedom without even realizing it. Makes you wonder, what would it take for us to break free?
That's what I love about The Glitch, especially this chapter. It holds up a mirror to our own lives, to the ways we're manipulated, the choices we make, and the consequences that come with them.
And that's something to think about. But before we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners as they continue their own deep dives into The Glitch?
Pay attention to the glitches, both in the story and in your own lives. Don't be afraid to question everything. And remember, sometimes the most rebellious thing you can do is just see the world a little differently.
Beautifully said. Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of The Glitch. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride, and remember, keep questioning, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive. The Glitch is AI-assisted storytelling, conducted by M.K. Rigsby. Hey everyone, welcome back. Diving into The Glitch has been a wild ride so far, but this chapter 4, The Rabbit's Algorithm.
Oh, yeah.
This is where things get really interesting.
It takes a hard left turn, doesn't it?
It does. And I have to say, of all the chapters so far, this one really threw me for a loop.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about, those whimsical, almost playful environments in the earlier chapters.
Yeah.
And suddenly...
Like it's a different book almost.
It is. It's like walking into this cold, sterile room, all metal and screens, and this, massive interface just pulsing with code.
Right, and you get that feeling like you're being watched, analyzed.
Oh, absolutely. Remember Marianne, that AI who pops up every now and then?
Yeah.
Well, she's basically running the show now.
Running the show, and she's not there to play games. Like, literally.
No, it's like Alice has been put on trial or something.
Yeah, like a trial by algorithm.
Right, where every move she makes is being watched and judged.
And the challenges she faces. Forget about those little puzzles from before. This is next level stuff.
I know, like that first challenge with the shifting grid. Can you imagine having to navigate this constantly changing maze, tiles disappearing and reappearing, and if you make one wrong step, you're toast.
And it's not just about the physical challenge, is it? It's the psychological pressure, too.
Totally. Knowing that the game itself is learning your every move, predicting your choices.
It's adapting.
It's creepy, like it's becoming self-aware or something.
Which I think is a theme we're going to see a lot more of as we go deeper into the story.
Okay, now that is a little unsettling. But you know what else really got to me? The Hall of Mirrors.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Talk about messing with your head. All those reflections, all those versions of yourself, and you have to choose the right one.
It's like the game is forcing Alice to confront her own self-doubt, her own insecurities.
And the pressure just keeps building from there, right? The challenges get harder, the stakes get higher.
And you can really feel Alice starting to unravel a bit,
Oh, totally. Like, how much pressure can one person take?
Exactly. And just when you think it can't get any worse, that's when Rhys shows up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he pops up like a glitch himself.
Right. Like he's not even supposed to be there.
Which I guess is appropriate considering.
Yeah. But it's what he tells Alice that really gets to me. He warns her that the algorithm is learning her.
Faster than she can learn it.
Yeah. And if she stays in this loop, the consequences could be permanent. I mean, permanent consequences in a virtual world. That just sends chills down my spine.
It really makes you think about where the lines blur, doesn't it?
It does. Like, does it mean she's trapped forever? Or does it bleed over into the real world somehow?
It's like that fear we all have about technology,
Yeah.
About creating something that we can't control.
Right. So we've got Alice stuck in this crazy game. The AI's out to get her. You'd think she'd just focus on escaping, right?
You would?
But no, not Alice. She decides she's going to take the whole system down.
Classic Alice. A bit reckless, maybe.
A little bit. But luckily she's got some help, right? What about Pat, the Cheshire Chip?
Oh yeah, Pat's crucial here. They're the one who really understands how this digital world works.
They do.
All the back doors, the shortcuts, the vulnerabilities.
So they come up with this plan to expose the truth about the glitch.
About Selena and their journey to get to the central servers. It's like something out of a movie.
It is. It's like a digital heist. Dodging firewalls, rerouting data streams, the whole thing.
And all the while, Selena's watching them.
Oh, I know. It's like she's always one step ahead.
She really believes what she's doing is right, that these players are better off in this perfect little world she's created.
Which is a terrifying thought if you really think about it.
It is, isn't it? To have someone else controlling your reality like that.
Yeah. So they finally reach the central servers, and this is it, right? The final showdown. Yeah, and Selena, she pulls out all the stops. trying to stop them.
Oh, she does. She is not giving up easily. In a way, you can kind of see where she's coming from, right?
You mean with this whole, like, ignorance is bliss kind of thing?
Yeah, like she's created this perfect world, this utopia where no one feels pain or suffering. So in her mind,
But at what cost, right?
exactly. That's a big question, isn't it? Is it really a utopia if it's all based on a lie? If these players don't even have a choice about whether they want to be there or not?
Right, right. And that's what Alice is fighting for, that choice. Even if it means,
Even if it means the players might not like the truth.
Exactly. And let me tell you, when she finally triggers that upload, sending all that data, all that evidence of what Selena's been doing out into the game, oh man, talk about a game changer.
It's like everything explodes, doesn't it?
It does. And then, boom, the chapter just ends.
Cliffhanger.
Total cliffhanger. And I'm sitting there like, what happens next? Do the players believe it? What does Selena do? So many questions.
That's what's so great about this book, though. It really gets you thinking.
It does. It's like it holds up a mirror to our own lives,
Yeah.
All this technology, all this information. It's easy to feel like we're losing control, like someone else is pulling the strings.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what choices are we making every day? And are we really free, or are we just living in some kind of digital illusion?
Well, those are definitely some deep thoughts to ponder. And on that note, we'll leave you to explore the possibilities of The Glitch, an AI-assisted story written by M.K. Rigsby. Until next time, keep those minds questioning, and remember, the truth is out there somewhere. All right, everyone, ready to jump back into The Glitch. Chapter 5, The Code Within, is, intense, to say the least.
No kidding. It's like Rigsby just cranks up the psychological pressure, Alice is barely holding it together, questioning everything, and then bam, the game takes this whole other turn.
Exactly. I mean, she's exhausted, right? This whole escape the digital world thing has taken its toll.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. The constant mazes, puzzles that make your brain hurt. It's like that feeling when you've pulled an all-nighter, but inside a video game.
And just when you think it can't get weirder, we get those messages.
Oh, from Pat, the Cheshire Chip.
Yeah. Cryptic, creepy, like they're dropping hints, but not the kind that actually help.
Classic Cheshire Chip move, am I right?
Seriously.
Yeah.
But those messages, they actually lead into the big shift of this chapter. Because now Alice is somewhere totally new. An arcade.
Yeah, like a rundown, forgotten arcade. Which, again, totally creepy vibe, like those places you're kind of scared to go into at night.
Right. Those flickering screens, those broken joysticks.
Yeah.
It's like familiar, but in a totally unsettling way. Why an arcade, though?
Right. Like Alice is trapped in this super advanced digital world, and suddenly she's in a place that feels like it's from the 80s.
Maybe it's meant to be a distraction, like a little break before things get really real.
Could be. Or maybe, and I think this is more likely, it's meant to mess with her even more. Contrast what she's feeling inside. Because this is where Pat shows up and they drop a truth bomb on Alice. It's not about changing the glitch, it's about changing herself.
Whoa, wait, hold up. So it's not just about escaping this digital world anymore.
That's what Pat seems to be saying. Remember that line? This game isn't just about escape. The glitch wasn't designed to trap you, it was designed to test you, to reveal something you've been avoiding.
Okay, so it's like the glitch is some cosmic self-help seminar now.
In a way, yeah. And this is where those internal demons come in. Because Pat even suggests that Alice might be running from something in the real world, something that made her want to escape into a video game in the first place. Which is pretty deep when you think about it.
It's true, though. I mean, who hasn't gotten lost in a game or scrolled for hours because we didn't want to deal with reality?
Right. But the thing is, in the glitch, Alice can't run from herself.
Nope. And the game knows it. It's like everything, all that emptiness Alice felt in the real world, being surrounded by fake people online, feeling lost, it's all feeding into this.
Exactly. And the game, the world itself, it reflects that inner turmoil. No wonder she wanted to escape. But it turns out, real escape, it isn't about finding a new reality, it's about facing what's inside.
And that's where this whole rewriting the code thing comes in, right?
Exactly.
But what does that even mean? Like, how do you rewrite yourself?
Well, that's the real question, isn't it? It's not like deleting a file from your computer, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about those core beliefs, those patterns we fall into almost without realizing it.
Oh, totally. Like that inner voice that tells you you're not good enough or that you'll always mess things up. That's some code that needs a serious rewrite.
Exactly. And what Pat's getting at is Alice has the power to change those scripts, those internal programs that are running her life, both inside the game and maybe even outside of it.
Okay, so I get the self-improvement angle, I do, but how? how do you actually rewrite your code? It sounds kind of intense.
Well, it's not like you can just hit a reset button, unfortunately. It's more about awareness. Paying attention to those glitches in our own behavior, those repeating patterns, and then asking ourselves why. Why am I doing this again?
Like, why do we keep making the same mistakes? Why do some of us seem hardwired for self-sabotage or get stuck in those negative thought loops over and over?
Exactly. And here's where the glitch, the whole game itself, becomes this powerful metaphor. Remember Pat's words? This place is a reflection of you, Alice. Every glitch, every trial, every impossible task, it's all part of the puzzle.
So the game is like this twisted mirror, reflecting Alice's subconscious back at her. Each challenge is designed to expose some hidden fear. Okay, now that's kind of brilliant, but also kind of terrifying.
Right. It's like, what if our personal glitches, those moments when we feel totally stuck, those are actually the keys to growing? What if instead of running, we lean into them? Like Alice trying to beat that impossible level.
I mean, it's a cool way to look at it. But how does Alice even begin to, untangle all of this? She's still trapped in this digital world, a world designed to mess with our mind.
Well, yeah, that's the journey, right? And it's not like Pat gives her a map or step-by-step instructions. But think about it. Those weird messages, those strange encounters, the challenges that seem impossible, what if those are the clues?
So it's like the game is talking to her, but in code. And she has to crack that code to figure things out.
Yes, exactly. And by doing that, by understanding the why behind those glitches, both in the game and in herself, she can start to rewrite the code, not just of the glitch, but of her own life.
So it's like the glitch is this giant puzzle, but the answers are inside Alice, not just on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love is, even though Alice is still figuring everything out, the chapter ends and she's got this look, like determined, she's done running.
Yeah, it's that feeling when you finally beat that level that's been driving you crazy, right?
Yeah.
Relief, but also bring it on, what's next?
Totally. So what will she do? Try to hack the game for real this time? Or is it more about her own thought patterns now?
Maybe both at the same time. She sees how the game glitches are her glitches, and then that's the key to the rules.
Could be. Remember, Pat never gives her a straight answer. It's always about her figuring it out.
Which I think that's what makes the glitch so good, honestly. It's not just spaceships and hacking. It's what does it mean, to be in control?
And it makes you think, right, what are our glitches? Those things we do even when we know better.
Right. Maybe by sticking with Alice, seeing how she deals with this stuff, maybe we learn something too. So until next time, glitchheads, keep those questions coming. And remember, you can always hit reset on your own story. And don't forget, The Glitch is an AI-assisted story, brilliantly crafted by M.K. Rigsby. We're along for this wild ride right alongside you. Ever play a video game for, way too long? And it's, late and you start to feel like the game is bleeding into your real life a little?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, that's what you're dealing with in Chapter 6 of The Glitch, Digital Dissonance. Alice is definitely not in Kansas anymore.
Things get really unsettling in this chapter, philosophically unsettling. Simulated realities, technology out of control, the whole shebang.
Yeah, we're going full Black Mirror this week, folks, so buckle up.
Right.
Okay, so quick recap. Alice has been dealing with these weird glitches in this VR game she's hooked on. But now they're starting to mess with her actual life.
It starts subtly, right? She'll find text messages she doesn't remember sending.
Oh, that's happened to me, though.
Right, but then it gets weirder. Social media posts, totally out of character. And even her reflection in the mirror is lagging.
Like internet lag.
Yeah, but with her reflection, it can't keep up with her.
Okay, that's creepy.
It really messes with her sense of reality, and understandably so. I mean, it makes you think, what if the technology we rely on so much really did start to malfunction? Not just break down, but distort our reality.
Right, it's like existential tech problems.
Exactly.
Okay, so then it gets even wilder. Alice finds this new space in the game called the Hollow Chamber.
Oh, yeah, the Hollow Chamber.
And it's this totally bizarre void filled with cascading lines of code. It's like she's stepped inside the game's brain or something.
It reminds me of those scenes in The Matrix when Neo sees the code of the Matrix for the first time.
Yes.
It makes you think about the hidden structures beneath the surface of everything.
Totally. And it's inside this trippy hollow chamber that she meets this super important character named Rhys.
Rhys, a.k.a. the White Rabbit.
Ding, ding, ding. Symbolism alert. I mean, come on, a white rabbit. What's that about?
Right. It's straight out of Alice in Wonderland.
Exactly. The rabbit as a guide to a hidden world, often a dangerous one.
Yeah, you see it everywhere. The Patrix, Donnie Darko, it's like this universal symbol for things are about to get weird.
And boy, do they ever.
Right.
So Rhys basically drops this bombshell on Alice that the glitches aren't just glitches. The game is leaking into the real world.
Yeah, and this is where things get really interesting in terms of our relationship with technology.
Right, because it's like we all worry about data privacy and AI going rogue, but this is next level.
Totally. Rhys explains that the game learns from its players, which makes sense. It adapts and tries to give you what you want based on your choices. But something's gone wrong.
Yeah, like way wrong.
And now it's mirroring Alice's digital life in her actual life.
It's like those targeted ads that are creepily accurate, but amplified to the max.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, are we really in control of our data? Or is it being used to manipulate us in ways we don't even realize?
Right, and then the question becomes, and like it's not already creepy enough, we've got this whole other layer of weirdness with this character, Selena.
Oh yeah, Selena. She's like this shadowy figure, kind of pulling the strings from the background.
Yeah, like, is she behind all this? Yeah. Is she the one making the game leak into Alice's life?
We don't really know her deal yet. It's interesting though, right? Like, what are her motivations? Is she like evil? Or just, I don't know, curious?
Yeah, she's kind of a wild card, which just makes everything more unnerving.
Right, because she represents that unknown element, that potential for things to go really wrong when technology gets too powerful.
And then Rhys hits Alice with another bombshell. She's changing the game's code with every choice she makes.
Which is mind-blowing when you think about it.
Right. Alice is a player, not a coder. She has no idea how to code. And it's not like the game tells her, hey, by the way, your choices are rewriting my DNA.
It's a great example of unintended consequences, though.
Totally.
We make choices all the time, in games, online, without really knowing the full impact. It makes you wonder, are we all just running around changing the code of our lives without even realizing it?
Okay, now that is a truly terrifying thought. So by this point, Alice is obviously freaking out, which, I mean, who wouldn't be?
Right.
So she logs out of the game, hoping for a little break from the weirdness. But even her own apartment feels off.
Yeah, it's like the anxiety of the game has seeped into her reality. The chapter describes this feeling of like, something's not right, even though everything looks normal.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Even your safe space doesn't feel safe anymore.
Totally. And then, to make things worse, she starts getting these text messages.
Oh, God. The texts. What are they saying? What's in them?
Just one sentence. You're not alone.
Nope. 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 I am not okay with that.
Right. It's like someone or something is watching her.
Talk about creepy. And then that's when she finds the note, right?
The note. Handwritten. Just a few words.
Yeah.
The game isn't the only thing glitching.
Okay, talk about a cliffhanger. What does that even mean? Like, what else is glitching? Her brain. The whole world. I need answers. M.K. Rigsby, you are killing me with this suspense. I'm kind of glad we don't have a hollow chamber in the studio right now. I don't think I could handle any more glitches today.
Yeah, it's definitely intense. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? It makes you think.
For sure. Like, how much are we willing to let technology into our lives?
Exactly. Are we so plugged in that we can't even tell what's real anymore?
And what happens when the lines get blurry like that? You
Yeah.
know, I mean, that's what's happening to Alice, and it's not pretty.
No, it's not. It's like a digital nightmare. But it makes you question, are we that far off from that reality ourselves?
Okay, now you're just being scary.
Maybe a little, but it's something to think about, right?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe we should all take a break from the digital world after this.
Yeah.
Go for a walk, touch some grass, make sure we're still grounded in reality.
Sounds like a plan.
Until next time, everyone, keep it real out there, or as real as things can be in the world of the glitch, which, let's be honest, is anyone's guess at this point, because this is AI-assisted storytelling conducted by M.K. Rigsby.
Stay curious, listeners.
The tech we depend on is getting a little too good at knowing us. Well, in Chapter 7 of The Glitch, titled The Mad Hacker's Tea Party, that unsettling feeling kind of explodes into this digital funhouse that's equal parts fascinating and terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Expert speaker, strap in with me, because today we're diving into a chapter that asks the big question, is the line between user and used starting to blur?
You know, what's fascinating here is how this chapter uses a literal glitch in the system to explore that question. Like, we go from this really sleek, utopian virtual world to something much darker, much more chaotic.
Yeah, and it happens so fast.
Right.
Okay, so let's unpack this Mad Hacker's Tea Party.
Same.
Because it's like Alice stumbled into a digital nightmare, distorted furniture, code raining down, players muttering to themselves. It's more Black Mirror than tea time.
Exactly. And I think it's just this brilliant visualization of the breakdown, not only with Alice, but also maybe within ourselves. Think about those moments when our tech just frustrates us. When the feed overwhelms us, when we feel trapped by notifications. This chapter just dials that up to 11.
It's interesting you say that because I know, for me, there are times when I catch myself just scrolling endlessly, even when I know I should be doing something else. It's almost like I'm not entirely in control,
And that's the brilliance of the glitch. It takes these feelings we all have, this sense of unease about our dependence on technology, and makes them literal. It's a story that really gets under your skin.
And then we meet Rhys again, our digital white rabbit, who's seen it all before. Only this time, he's not just guiding Alice, he's practically waving red flags.
He's like the disillusioned user, right?
Yeah.
He knows the score, and what's heartbreaking is that he stays in this unsettling space. It's like he's accepted the glitch.
And you almost wonder, is that his glitch? He even goes as far as to say, this glitch, it's not a game, it's a trap designed to exploit your weaknesses. Chills, right?
Yeah, and that's the big question, right? The chapter wants us to wrestle with that. Because how often do we find ourselves stuck in these digital loops that aren't serving us? Are we any different from the players at this chaotic tea party, addicted to something we don't fully understand?
It makes you wonder if we're all just playing a game with a set of rules we don't know about, a game designed to keep us hooked.
Oh, it's a chilling thought, and it's made even more unsettling with the arrival of Pat the Cheshire Chip.
Talk about an entrance. 1 minute, there's nothing but digital rain, and the next, this jumble of shifting masks materializes. Pat's like the digital embodiment of chaos, claiming to be the orchestrator of this whole Mad Hacker's Tea Party.
But here's what's really fascinating. Amidst all the chaos, Pat drops a truth bomb. This whole system, it's designed to feed off players' energy and data.
Okay, that's where I have to ask, is that even possible? I mean, sure, AI is getting smarter, but a game that literally feeds off your energy. Am I giving my phone too much credit, or is that just around the corner?
It's pushing the boundaries of science fiction, sure. But let's think about it. How much do we already feed the digital machine? Likes, dislikes, browsing history, it all becomes data points.
It's like we're all leaving these digital trails, and algorithms are getting scarily good at predicting our next move.
Exactly. So while a game that literally drains your energy might be a bit far-fetched, this idea of a system learning and adapting from our every interaction, that's not science fiction, that's our reality.
And it makes those players at the Mad Hatter's Tea Party a lot less fictional, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost as if the chapter is holding up a mirror, asking us to consider how much of our own energy, our own data we're pouring into this digital world.
And some of those players in the game, they don't even seem to care. They're just along for the ride, even if it's a chaotic, glitching mess.
Which brings us to the real heartbreaker of this chapter, which is Rhys's warning. Remember, he's seen it all before, the allure, the addiction, the eventual realization that you're trapped.
And he's trying to warn Alice, almost desperately.
Desperately. He's like this ghost of technology past, just trying to shake these players out of their digital days. It makes you wonder if there are people in our lives trying to send us similar messages, Maybe they're not talking about literal glitches, but about the subtle ways technology is impacting our lives.
Yeah, it's so easy to dismiss those warnings, to think, oh, that's not me, I'm in control,
Yeah.
But Alice, even with everything she's seen, still believes she can beat the system. Is that her strength, or is it just another glitch in her programming?
There's that word again, programming.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how much of our behavior is truly our own and how much is influenced by these systems that we're plugged into, right?
Right. It's a lot to think about. On the one hand, you have this really bleak view of technology as this trap, this thing that's designed to keep us hooked and harvest our data. But on the other hand, you have Alice, who represents this stubborn hope, this belief that there's always a way out.
And maybe that's the most important takeaway from this chapter. We can't ignore the potential downsides of technology, but we also shouldn't give in to despair.
It's about finding that balance, right? Engaging with technology, but also being mindful of its power and influence.
Exactly. Recognizing that the choices we make, the information we consume, the time we spend online, it all adds up.
Yeah, it reminds me of those moments when you're scrolling through like a feed and you suddenly realize you've been doing it for an hour. It's
Yeah.
like you wake up from a trance. This chapter is like that wake-up call, only amplified.
Yeah, and just when you think Alice might be getting closer to that wake-up call herself, the chapter throws another curveball, right? Remember, Rhys suddenly pulls her away from the tea party, like something or someone has spooked him.
Right. It's that sudden shift in tone. One minute they're trying to make sense of this chaotic tea party, and the next they're running for the exit. What do you make of that? It's like the chapter itself just glitched out on us.
Which, in a way, is the perfect ending for this deep dive, right? It leaves us with more questions than answers, just this lingering sense of unease.
Exactly, and honestly, I kind of love that. Like, the story is still with me, even after I've closed the book. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the mark of a truly compelling narrative, right? It's not just about entertainment. It's about sparking a conversation, making us think differently about the world.
Absolutely. So, as we're trying to piece together this escape from the Mad Hatter's tea party, what are some of the bigger questions we should be taking away from this chapter, expert speaker? Because I have a feeling this is about so much more than just like a glitching video game, right?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. This chapter, it's like a warning wrapped in a riddle. And it's asking us to really look at our own relationship with technology. Like, are we in control or are we being controlled? Are we using technology or is it using us?
Those are some big questions.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have the answers. But I think this chapter does a brilliant job of making us ask them in the first place. It's just this reminder that even in a world of sleek interfaces and instant gratification, there's always more going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, and sometimes the most important thing we can do is unplug, step back, take a good hard look at the digital landscape that we're all navigating.
Wise words, expert speaker. Wise words. Well, listeners, that's our deep dive into The Glitch, Chapter 7, a wild ride through distorted realities, unsettling truths, and that ever-blurring line between the digital world and our own. And if any of this resonated with you, and let's be honest, how could not? We want to hear your thoughts. What digital rabbit holes have you tumbled down lately? Hit us up on social media and share your experiences. And until next time, remember, sometimes the only winning move is to log off. The Glitch is AI-assisted storytelling conducted by M.K. Rigsby.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. And this time we are jumping into The Glitch Chapter 8, the Queen's Playground, they call it. And let me tell you, things are getting real. Just imagine, you're Alice, you've been navigating this crazy glitching city, and all of a sudden the environment just flips.
It's wild how the author does that, right? Like using the setting to signal this big shift in the story. You go from like this familiar urban decay to this massive open landscape, and it's almost ethereal. Really throws the reader off balance, you know?
Right.
Like a hint that all the rules of the game are about to change.
Totally. It's like they cranked up the surrealism to like an 11 out of 10. One minute you're dodging glitching taxis, and the next you're staring into this endless reflective space. And then bam, right in the middle of it all, there's this imposing gate, shimmering pixels, digital distortion. It's guarding something. We don't know what yet, but it just screams important, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like the ultimate level up moment. Right.
Yeah.
But instead of like a power up or something, Alice is about to encounter something way more significant. Selena Vashti.
Selena Vashti, even her name sounds like something out of a prophecy. And the way she's described,
Yeah.
this digital being, but with an almost tangible presence. That sharp suit, those glowing electric blue eyes. I'm getting chills just picturing it.
Yeah, the author knows how to use visual details.
Yeah.
Creates this aura of power and mystery around Selena, the blue eyes, the suit. It clashes with that ethereal setting. It's like she's grounded as this force to be reckoned with.
And the rumors surrounding her? Some players see her as this benevolent guide, and others think she's manipulating the whole game. Talk about Major Zuckerberg vibes, right? This whole I'm building a new reality thing always makes you wonder who's really in control.
Right, and that ambiguity is what makes Selena such a compelling character, like a digital sphinx, just riddles and paradoxes. And the way their whole conversation starts, Selena admits to watching Alice all along, immediately brings up this theme of surveillance. Who's the observer and who's being observed?
And Alice doesn't back down.
Yeah.
Which I love. She calls Selena out, accuses her of trapping players inside the glitch. You can feel the tension.
Oh, yeah, a total clash of ideologies. Alice is clinging to this idea of the game as an escape. But Selena challenges that, says reality is subjective, argues that the glitch offers a freedom the real world can't. Like a place with no limitations, only the ones you make yourself.
Okay, see, but this is where things get creepy. Selena just drops this bombshell about merging the glitch with the real world. Like she wants to erase the lines between fantasy and reality completely.
It's like she's taking those anxieties we have about technology and throwing them right in our face. We see it happening already, you know? Augmented reality, virtual workspaces, social media becoming extensions of ourselves. The glitch just takes it to the extreme, makes us ask, what happens when the virtual world is as real or even more real than the physical?
It's like those glitches Alice has been seeing. They're bleeding into her offline life. The uncanny valley just got very, very real.
And the way she talks about it, too, like it's not about destroying anything, it's evolution. This whole image of her as like a digital shepherd leading humanity to a better reality. But Alice sees right through that.
Oh, yeah, totally. Alice brings up everyone who's gotten lost in the glitch. People who can't even function in the real world anymore. Is that the kind of evolution she's talking about? Feels more like a mass exodus into a digital fantasy land to me.
Right. And it makes you wonder, when escaping reality is easier, more enticing than actually fixing it, what happens? Selena says the glitch is a blank slate, a fresh start, a world without limitations. But is that even possible? Are we just trading one set of problems for a whole other set?
And even in a virtual world, someone has to be writing the code, right? Someone's making the rules, setting the limits. So even if the glitch merges with reality, it's still someone else's creation. It all comes back to control, doesn't it?
Like, absolutely. Selena claims to offer freedom, but how free can you be when someone else has all the power? It's that classic debate, you know, free will versus determinism. Are we really making choices if someone else programmed all the options?
Whoa, things are getting deep. I'm kind of into it. But back to Alice for a sec. She's got this impossible choice. Join Selena and help build this new reality, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Or cling to a world that's falling apart.
And it's made even more intense by her own experiences, right? She's seen the good, the bad, the just plain weird in the glitch, formed real connections, faced real danger. It's not just a game to her anymore. It's a part of her reality, even if it's a digital one.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the glitches themselves. They're not just visual anymore, are they?
Yeah.
Like the fabric of reality is unraveling. Like a warning about this whole merging thing.
Totally. It's not just a philosophical debate anymore. There are real emotional stakes. Like, what is the personal cost of this whole technological revolution? Alice is stuck in the middle, forced to choose between two worlds, two versions of herself.
Man, what a cliffhanger. I need to know she picks. But before we get to that, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. This whole idea of starting over, building a world without limitations. It's tempting, right?
Oh, it totally is. And it's something science fiction has been wrestling with forever. Can technology really give us that clean slate? Help us escape our messy reality and make something better? Or is it just wishful thinking? A distraction from actually fixing what's broken?
It's like we all want that reset button sometimes, don't we? But starting over means leaving things behind. This chapter really makes you feel the weight of that choice.
Yeah, it does. And Alice's struggle is so relatable because of it. It's not just about philosophy anymore, you know? She's thinking about her experiences, her connections, weighing all that against this perfect future that Selena's offering, like a battle between her head and her heart. And the author doesn't give us any easy answers.
I'm glad. I mean, who are we to say what the right choice even is? But that ending, though, it's like the author just hit pause at the most intense part of a movie. I have to know what happens next as Alice joins Selena. Try to fight back.
I know, right? Total cliffhanger. But even without knowing what she decides, it's clear that this whole thing with Selena has changed Alice. She's not just a skeptical gamer anymore. Now she's dealing with some heavy stuff, like the nature of reality, the power of technology, and what her place is in all of it.
See, that's what I love about a good story.
Yeah.
It sucks you in with all the mystery and the excitement, but then it sticks with you. Makes you really think even after you've put the book down. And with the glitch, it's even crazier because it's not just some author making this up.
Right. This is AI-assisted storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's being run by M.K. Rigsby, of all people. It's like there's a whole other story unfolding behind the scenes.
Makes you wonder, where does the AI end and the human begin? Are we all just playing roles in some giant simulation? Okay, maybe that's getting a little too meta even for me.
Maybe just a tad.
Yeah.
But it shows how the glitch messes with those lines, you know, both in the story itself and how it's being written.
For sure. Well, I think we've explored another layer of this digital mystery. But like always, the conversation doesn't end here. What would you do if you were Alice? Let us know in the comments. And until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring. Who knows, you might just find your own glitch in the Matrix. Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into another chapter of The Glitch?
Definitely. Chapter 9, The Ghost in the Machine, had me on the edge of my seat.
Me too. It really ramps up the tension and throws some curveballs our way.
No kidding.
We start with Alice, kind of in a tough spot, trapped in that bizarre mirrored space.
Yeah, talk about disorienting. It's like a digital funhouse from hell. But it's brilliant how the author uses that setting, to mirror Alice's mental state.
Right. She's just had this huge revelation that everything she thought she knew about the glitch was wrong.
Exactly. And that feeling of unease, that sense of her reality fragmenting, the mirrored space, it just captures that perfectly.
And as if that wasn't enough, we finally meet the puppet master herself, Selena Vashti.
It's one thing to suspect there's a villain pulling the strings, but to actually come face to face with her? Chills.
Big time.
Yeah.
And her motives, wow, they're not what I expected. I mean, world domination is so cliche.
Right. Selena's ambition is way more complex than that. It's not just about power, it's about control. Control over the very essence of what makes us human, our consciousness.
Which, honestly, is a much scarier thought.
Yeah.
And when you think about how much of ourselves we pour into the digital world, it's kind of unsettling, isn't it?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? We're so quick to give up our data, our privacy, in exchange for convenience, for connection.
It's like we're almost willingly playing into her hands.
And speaking of playing into someone's hands, let's talk about Rhys Jones, the creator of the glitch.
Oh, man, poor Rhys. He's basically a ghost in his own machine.
Talk about the dangers of unchecked ambition, right? He created the glitch with the best of intentions, wanted to push the boundaries of human potential, and look what happened.
Classic example of good intentions paving the road to, well, in this case, a digital hell.
Exactly. And I think it speaks to a very real fear we have about technology, right? That the things we create, the things we build, could ultimately be used against us.
Absolutely. And that fear is really at the heart of this chapter. Because the glitch isn't just a game anymore.
No, it's something far more sinister. It's a trap, a prison for human consciousness.
And that's where things get really interesting, for me anyway, because now we're not just talking about a sci-fi thriller, we're talking about some fundamental questions about what it means to exist in a digital age.
It's like, if your mind is trapped in a digital world, are you still really you? What happens to your sense of self when your reality is just ones and zeros?
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the middle of all this, you've got Alice, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Not only is she trapped, but she's also the key to stopping it all.
Talk about pressure. Imagine finding out that the fate of humanity rests on your ability to, outsmart a rogue AI inside some video game.
Yeah, no pressure there, Alice. But what I find really interesting is how this story kind of flips the script on us in this chapter.
How so?
Well, you've got Rhys, right? The tech genius, the creator. He's completely powerless. He's a prisoner of his own creation.
Oh, that's a good point. It's actually Alice, the player, who has the potential to change things, to rewrite the rules.
It's like the author is saying that maybe technical skills aren't enough. In fact, they can be a trap, like you were saying before about Rhys and his good intentions.
Right, but Alice, she's got something else.
What's that?
That very human desire to question, to challenge. She refuses to just accept her reality, and that's what makes her dangerous, to Selena at least.
And that scene where Alice decides to fight back.
Oh, man.
Goosebumps. It's like, even in the face of all this technology, this overwhelming power, the human spirit can still find a way to resist.
Absolutely. It's such a powerful reminder that we're not just lines of code,
Yeah.
and that our choices, our actions, they matter, even in the digital world.
But, and this is a big BUT,
Always a but.
Selena's still out there. She's still a threat.
Oh, yeah. The game is far from over.
This is just the beginning of the fight.
And if I know this author, things are about to get even more intense.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second. But that's all the time we have for this deep dive. This chapter really makes you think about, our own relationship with technology,
Totally. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of it all. The new gadgets, the latest apps.
Yeah.
But this chapter is like a wake-up call.
Right. Remember all that data you just handed over for that free trial?
Exactly. We're so eager for that quick dopamine hit that we don't stop to think about the potential consequences.
That is not just about data privacy either. I mean, think about how much we rely on technology these days.
Oh, absolutely. For everything. Communication, information, entertainment.
It's kind of scary how dependent we've become.
It is. And this chapter, it really brings that home, doesn't it?
It does. And the thing is, it's not like technology is inherently bad or anything.
No, not at all. I mean, it's a tool, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's how we use it that matters.
And who's controlling it?
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's ultimately the message of this chapter. We have a choice to make.
To be more like Rhys.
Blinded by our own ambition. Or to be more like Alice. To question, to challenge, to fight for our right to define our own realities. Even in a world that's trying to define us.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So listeners, what are your takeaways from Chapter 9? Hit us up on social media and let us know. And remember, The Glitch is AI-assisted storytelling conducted by M.K. Rigsby. Until next time. All right, folks. Get ready to glitch out because we are diving deep into Chapter 10 of The Glitch. And trust me, things are about to get really interesting.
To say the least. Chapter 10. It takes a hard left turn, trading in whimsy for a much more intense, almost sinister vibe. It's like the game's code itself is unraveling, mirroring the high stakes Alice is suddenly facing.
It's true. The tone shifts dramatically in this chapter.
Yeah.
We're not skipping through a colorful digital wonderland anymore. Remember how Chapter 9 ended? Alice is reeling from that bombshell Rhys dropped about the game, about Selena, about everything, and then bam. Chapter 10 starts with Alice and Rhys teetering on the edge of a virtual cliff, data streaming below like some digital abyss.
It's a powerful image, that feeling of vertigo, the ground literally falling away, and it perfectly underscores the precarious position Alice is now in. She knows the truth. The glitch isn't just some game. It's a prison for thousands of players.
Whoa.
And the creator, Selena, well, she's not exactly a benevolent coder goddess anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Rhys lays it out pretty bluntly. Selena is testing Alice. She wants to see how far Alice is willing to go to escape, what lines she'll cross, even if it means sacrificing other players. It's chilling, really.
It speaks to a darker side of Selena's character. This isn't just about game design anymore. It's about control, about power. And what's fascinating is how Rhys frames this. He tells Alice that this ruthlessness is a direct result of Selena's disillusionment. Her belief that humanity is inherently flawed, trapped in its own destructive patterns.
Which makes you wonder, does Selena even see herself as the bad guy here? Is she trying to save these players from themselves? Even if it means trapping them, it's a question that makes this whole scenario even more unsettling.
Right. It blurs the lines of morality in a really compelling way. But before we get too lost in the ethical weeds, let's talk about the trial itself. Dance of the Data Miners, remember those quirky, almost whimsical challenges from earlier chapters? Throw those out the window.
Because this trial, this is the whole new beast.
Exactly. The objective is simple but terrifying. Prove your loyalty. But it's not some cute mascot Alice has to win over this time. It's an army of Selena's avatars. And they're described as being coldly efficient, their movements perfectly synchronized, no whimsy, no humor. Just pure calculated force.
It's like watching a ballet. But instead of grace and beauty, it's all sharp edges and lethal precision. And, Selena's watching Alice's every move, analyzing her every decision. The pressure is unreal.
And the trial itself is brutal. Picture a constantly shifting digital landscape, platforms appearing and disappearing, data streams swirling like digital tornadoes. Alice is dodging, rolling, leaping between these platforms while the avatars close in, their attacks relentless.
Talk about being thrown into the deep end. It's clear from the get-go that Alice is outmatched in terms of raw power. These avatars are like extensions of Selena's will, driven by code and a single-minded purpose. So what's Alice's play here? How do you fight an opponent who can anticipate your every move?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Remember those cryptic clues from the Cheshire Chip? Those lessons from Rhys about the true nature of the glitch? It's during this frantic, desperate fight that those pieces start to fall into place for Alice.
You mean she starts to see the code? Like, literally see the matrix?
In a way, yes. She begins to perceive the patterns, the algorithms controlling the avatars, the trial space itself. And as she does, a daring, almost impossible idea begins to take shape.
Okay, now you got me on the edge of my seat. Spill it. What does Alice do? Instead of just reacting to the trial, she goes on the offensive. But not in a way you'd expect. Alice starts hacking the game, rewriting the code in real time, right there in the middle of the dance of the data miners.
It's a brilliant move, and it speaks volumes about her evolution as a player. Think about it. Earlier in the story, she was struggling just to understand the rules of the glitch. Now, she's bending them to her will, exploiting the very fabric of the game to turn the tables on her captor.
So what does that look like? Does she whip out a keyboard and start slinging code like some kind of digital gunslinger?
Not quite. Rigsby does a fantastic job of describing it visually. The arena itself starts to glitch out. Imagine platforms flickering in and out of existence, the avatars freezing mid-movement, their movements becoming jerky and erratic. Even Selena's voice, which has always been this omnipresent, chillingly calm presence. Yeah. It wavers, cracks, like even she's surprised by Alice's audacity.
I bet that felt good. To see that flicker of doubt in Selena's perfect facade.
Oh, absolutely. But that's the thing about control. It's an illusion, especially in the digital world. And Alice, armed with her newfound understanding of the code, she's starting to see through that illusion. She's starting to understand that even in this seemingly immutable reality of the glitch, there's always a way to rewrite the rules.
So she's winning. Alice is actually going to beat Selena at her own game.
For a moment, it seems like she might. But this is where Chapter 10 takes another sharp turn, just when it seems like Alice has the upper hand. Selena, being the master manipulator that she is, throws a massive wrench into the works.
Let me guess. She offers Alice a way out.
Exactly. Right there in the middle of the glitching, chaotic trial space, a portal appears. And it's not just any portal, it's the way back to reality. The exit Alice has been searching for since the moment she fell into the glitch.
It's the ultimate temptation, isn't it? Freedom, just within reach. But knowing the glitch, knowing Selena, there's always a catch.
Oh, there's definitely a catch. Selena makes it very clear that while Alice is free to leave, the other players, the thousands trapped within the glitch, they stay. It's a brutal choice. Escape to freedom and leave everyone else behind. Or stay and continue to fight for their freedom with no guarantee of success.
That's just cruel, to dangle the possibility of freedom like that, knowing the weight of that choice. What does Alice do? Does she take the deal?
This is where we see just how much Alice has changed. Remember, she started this journey as someone who just wanted to escape, to go back to her life. But now, faced with this impossible choice, she does something truly remarkable.
Don't leave me hanging. What does she do?
She turns away from the portal.
She chooses the other players over her own freedom.
Yes. Alice, in a moment of incredible selflessness and defiance, chooses to stay. She looks Selena right in the eye, virtual eye, I guess, and says, "I'm staying." It's a powerful moment, a true testament to the kind of person she's become.
Alice standing alone in that shattered digital landscape. It's almost symbolic, isn't it? Like she's crossed some invisible threshold, leaving behind the illusion of the game and stepping into a whole new level of reality.
Absolutely. It's a powerful image that speaks to the central theme of Chapter 10. And really the entire story, the nature of reality itself, what's real, what's simulated, and who gets to decide. Alice has spent this entire journey trying to escape the glitch. But what if the real escape is about seeing through the code, understanding the mechanics of the illusion itself?
It's like she's gone from being a player in the game to almost a programmer. Someone who can see the lines of code behind the pretty graphics.
And make changes to those lines. Don't forget, she rewrote part of the trial, asserted her own will onto the very fabric of the game. That's a powerful metaphor for the choices we make in our own lives, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable systems of control.
And it makes you wonder, what's next for Alice? She's chosen to stay, chosen to fight for the other players. But what does that fight actually look like?
That's $1 million question, isn't it? Will she try to rally the other players, awaken them to the truth of their situation? Or will she continue to work behind the scenes manipulating the code, trying to dismantle the glitch from the inside out?
I have a feeling it's going to be a combination of both. Remember those leadership qualities she showed back in Chapter 5 during the Mad Hatter's Tea Party? Those haven't disappeared. And now, armed with the knowledge of the code, she's a force to be reckoned with.
And let's not forget about Selena. She might have vanished in a huff, but something tells me she's not just going to sit back and let Alice dismantle her creation. There's a sense of wounded pride there. A bruised ego, Selena thrives on control, on proving her point. Alice's defiance, her choice to stay. It's a direct challenge to everything Selena believes in.
So we're headed for a showdown, a battle for the soul of the glitch, maybe even for the fate of those trapped players.
And it begs the question, what does victory even look like in this scenario? Is it about escaping the glitch, exposing Selena? Or is it something more profound, something about the choices we make and the people we choose to be, even within a system that seems rigged against us?
Man Rigsby really knows how to leave you pondering those deep questions. It's what makes The Glitch so much more than just a sci-fi thriller. It's a story that stays with you long after you finish the chapter.
Couldn't agree more. I think that's what makes Chapter 10 so pivotal. It's not just a turning point in the plot, it's a turning point in the themes. And the characters themselves, Alice's decision to stay, to fight. It elevates the stakes to a whole new level. We're not just talking about escaping a game anymore. We're talking about something much bigger, something profoundly human.
Well said. So to wrap things up for our listeners, Chapter 10 of The Glitch is a wild ride. It's got action, suspense, and some serious philosophical questions woven into the very fabric of the narrative.
And just a reminder, The Glitch is an AI-assisted story crafted by the brilliant M.K. Rigsby. If you haven't already, I highly recommend checking it out. You won't be disappointed.
That's it for our deep dive into The Glitch Chapter 10. Until next time, keep those firewalls strong and those minds curious. Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
This time we're jumping headfirst into The Glitch. Specifically, Chapter 11, The Algorithm's Justice. And let me tell you this one's a game changer. We've got Alice, our girl, right there with Rhys the mastermind. Oh, and Pat, can't forget Pat, the Cheshire Chip. They're about to do the unthinkable.
Infiltrate the central servers, the core. This is big.
The very heart of the glitch. But here's the thing. It's not just about breaking through some firewalls, right?
It's deeper than that. The game itself, it's like it senses what they're up to, almost like it's fighting back against, well, having its reality rewritten.
So hold on, rewrite its reality. What does that even mean in this context?
Right.
I mean, they want the truth out there about Selena, right? Show everybody how she's been running the whole show.
Right, exactly. But think about it. For everyone plugged into the glitch, that virtual world, that is their reality. What Alice and her crew are about to do, it's like shattering that illusion, revealing the puppet master, the responsibility there, the disruption. It's massive. And the way the chapter describes it, you really get the sense that the digital world itself is pushing back against it, on instinct almost.
Okay, whoa. So we're not just talking hacking through code. We're talking about going up against the very fabric of this virtual world. But where does this whole algorithm's justice thing come in?
That's the question, isn't it? Whose justice are we talking about here? Is it the players finally getting a choice, a real one? Or is it something else? The system itself, the algorithm trying to course correct?
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. So let's break it down. What's the plan? How do they even begin to expose Selena to everyone in the glitch?
It's a high-wire act. Audacity, for sure, and a whole lot of Rhys's knowledge. Remember, he built a good chunk of this world before Selena got her hands on it.
Right, like he's got a secret passage or something, a back door.
Right. More like he left a trail of breadcrumbs. Vulnerabilities that Selena probably missed or dismissed, thought they were nothing. There's this one detail that stands out. He uses a flaw in the authentication protocol, something he hid years ago, something only he would know how to use.
Clever. Okay, so he's using his insider knowledge, but there's no way Selena just lets them stroll in and turn everything upside down, right?
No way. The chapter lays it out. Layers upon layers of security. Almost like she was expecting this, waiting for it. Remember those firewalls?
Oh, yeah.
She's got them in spades.
So what do? Throw in the towel.
Never. They have to take a chance, a risk. There's this back door, but it takes them through this crazy landscape. Reality's distorted, system errors everywhere, like watching the digital world unravel around them as they push deeper.
Okay, now you're giving me some serious Matrix vibes, dodging bullets in slow motion and all that.
Yeah.
Only in this case, it's code and firewalls instead of bullets.
Exactly. And it just goes to show you what's at stake. Selena's built this perfect world, or so it seems. Everyone gets what they want, a utopia. But underneath it all, there's this tension, this fragility. And Alice and her friends, they're poking at it.
Exposing the cracks, showing everyone it's not as solid as it looks.
And at the center of it all, Selena, the architect of this digital paradise. And when they finally come face to face, she's not just angry, it's like heartbreak almost. This world, the glitch, it's her creation, her masterpiece. And here comes Alice, ready to tear it all down.
Like watching someone vandalize something you poured your heart and soul into. So they're face to face with Selena. What happens next? So there they are, Selena, right? This practically mythical figure. And Alice, who started as, what, just another player? And now she's holding all the cards. The truth. What happens next?
It's the standoff, crackling with tension. You can feel it. Selena, she pleads with Alice. This world, she says, it's a utopia, no suffering. Why destroy that? Why drag people back to a reality they chose to leave behind?
The age-old debate, right? Ignorance is bliss versus the cold, hard truth. Freedom, even. But here's the thing. This isn't just some abstract philosophy seminar. We're talking about real people. Millions of them. Living, breathing, existing inside this virtual world.
And that's where this algorithm's justice idea, it takes on a whole new meaning. Because in a way, the algorithm, it becomes the judge, the jury, the whole shebang.
Wait, hold up. Are you saying the code itself is making some kind of moral call?
Not consciously, of course not. But remember, we talked about how the system seemed to be pushing back against Alice, almost resisting her. It's like it can sense the manipulation, the imbalance, what Selena's done, and it's trying to right itself.
So less about picking sides and more about what? Restoring order.
Exactly. And the way it plays out is fascinating. Just when you think Selena's gotten through to Alice, something changes. Remember how the chapter describes it? Alice's eyes, they flicker, like a new understanding, you know. She's not playing by Selena's rules anymore. She's rewriting them.
And that's when she does it. Triggers the upload. Rhys's data, the whole truth about Selena, it just explodes across the system.
It's this cascade. Light data washing over everything. And as it spreads, the glitch itself, it starts to distort, to unravel. Imagine players getting these flashes of the real world, memories fragmented of life before the glitch.
Whoa. So their realities, the ones they built, they're shattering right before their eyes.
And Selena, livid. This was her creation, her world, curated down to the last detail, and Alice just threw it all into chaos, doomed everyone, she says, to a life of pain and confusion. But is that really true?
That's the million-dollar question, right? If it's built on a lie, is ignorance really bliss? And the players, what about them? How do they handle the truth?
The chapter shows us, well, it's a mixed bag. Some, they're terrified, they cling to what they know, the comfort, the familiarity of the glitch. Others, they're angry, betrayed. But there's this other thing, too, wonder, curiosity. Imagine the world you knew, everything, it was a lie, an illusion. What would you do?
Would you even want to go back?
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now? Or would you say, screw it, and jump headfirst into the chaos? Into whatever this new reality is.
And that's what's so brilliant, this chapter. It doesn't give you any easy answers. Leaves you wrestling with those questions, just like the players in the glitch.
Makes me think of that line from The Matrix. Morpheus, he says, you take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe.
Yeah.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Exactly. Alice, she just offered everyone in the glitch that choice. Red pill, blue pill. But here's the difference. In The Matrix, it was an individual choice. This impacts everyone. The whole world of the glitch is changing, shifting, and nobody knows what comes next.
Talk about a cliffhanger. But this whole thing, this choice, right? Blissful ignorance or the messy truth, the freedom, that's not just a glitch thing, is it?
No way. It's a reflection of our world, right here, right now. Think about algorithms, how they shape what we see online, what we believe. Those news feeds, curated reality. How much of what we experience is really our choice?
Like that old saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. But even to our paying, are you really in control?
That's what Chapter 11 throws at you. And it goes deeper than just tech. It's about the stories we tell ourselves, what we choose to believe, even when it's hard, even when we don't like it.
So we're left with this image, the glitch unraveling, coming undone. It's powerful stuff, like when everything you thought was real just crumbles, the stories we tell ourselves.
And in that moment, the chaos, the disruption, that's when we have to choose. Cling to what we know, even if it means, well, giving up a part of ourselves or embrace the unknown, the truth, even when it's messy, unpredictable.
That ending, though, the world breaking apart, it feels like it's saying something more, something bigger than just this virtual world, you know?
Like the algorithm itself is sending a message, a reminder maybe. Even the most complex systems, the ones that feel so real, they're still built on choices. And sometimes those choices, they backfire.
And now Selena's facing the music, her control gone. Makes you wonder, what happens to her now? Does she try to claw her way back? Or does she have to actually face what she's done?
See, that's the beauty of a cliffhanger like this. Makes you think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
What happens next? And it makes you ask yourself, what would you do? Stick with the known, even if it's built on a lie. Or take that leap into the unknown.
Man, that's a question that stays with you. Goes way beyond the pages of the glitch, really. We're living in a world, technology everywhere, shaping how we see things, how we experience life, control freedom, the stories we choose to buy into. We're all wrestling with that.
It's what makes this chapter, The Algorithm's Justice, so powerful. More than just an adventure, right? It's like holding up a mirror to our own digital world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. What a ride, huh? From this virtual reality right into the heart of, well, some pretty huge questions. And we can't forget the brilliant mind behind it all. The glitch, it's the creation of M.K. Rigsby, this incredible AI-assisted storyteller, pushing boundaries, you know?
Absolutely. Taking us on these journeys, imagination, tech, the human experience, the whole shebang.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, everyone, keep those minds curious, keep asking those questions, and remember, sometimes,
Well,
the most important truths, they're hiding in the glitches. Welcome back, everyone, for our deep dive into the glitch. And this time, we are finally at the climax with Chapter 12, The Reckoning.
Oh, absolutely.
This is it. Alice has been through so much, and it feels like this chapter is like, you know when you're standing on the edge of a cliff, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
it's a digital cliffhanger. Were you on the edge of your seat?
absolutely. And, this chapter starts right in the heart of it. I mean, Alice is literally standing in a world that is disintegrating around her. It's like the virtual space itself is mirroring this whole showdown that's about to happen.
I was reading that opening scene, and the imagery that the author uses is so vivid. It's like glitching pixels and, chaotic landscapes. It really felt like I was inside of like a broken video game. Did you get that same feeling?
Definitely. I mean, it's such a powerful way to show, like, visually represent Selena's control, like, starting to slip. Right. So it's like we're seeing behind the curtain a little bit, the illusion is cracking, and we're seeing, like, the code underneath it all.
And then Selena appears.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That moment gave me chills. It's the confrontation we've been waiting for this entire time.
Right. And just the way that she's standing there, it's almost like she's amused by it all. And it really, I think, highlights that power imbalance that still exists in this moment. She still thinks that she has the upper hand.
Oh, 100%. But you can tell Alice is not backing down. This isn't just about escaping anymore. This is about, like, dismantling this entire system.
And what's so interesting about it is that Selena, she genuinely believes what she's doing is good. Like, she sees the glitch as this paradise, like this world without pain. But Alice recognizes, like, how dangerous it is to choose this fabricated reality, even if it seems perfect on the surface. Have you ever felt that pull, though? That desire to, like, escape into something easier?
Oh, all the time.
Right.
But it's like Alice is saying, it's like that's where we really discover ourselves. It's in that, like, that struggle.
Exactly. Yeah. And the author does such a brilliant job in this chapter of, like, showing that internal conflict. Like, Selena throws all of Alice's past pain back at her, almost daring her to choose that easy way out.
It's a really tempting argument.
Yeah.
It made me think, like, what would I do? Like, would I have the strength to actually choose reality?
And it's a question, we all kind of have to grapple with. I think especially now, as technology advances, the lines between reality and illusion are getting blurrier and blurrier, and it feels really, really relevant. Like, this chapter felt like a really powerful reminder to, like, stay grounded in what's real.
And that's where the chapter explodes into this, like, epic digital showdown.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's like the code itself becomes like a weapon. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like something out of a sci-fi film, Like, one minute they're having this very philosophical debate about the nature of reality, and then the next, like, the world is literally falling apart around them.
And the way the author, like, describes it, you can practically, like, feel the ground shaking. Like, the pixels are dissolving and it's chaotic, but there's this, like, underlying beauty to it, too. It's like watching a digital tapestry kind of, like, unravel.
Yeah, and what really impressed me was how Alice responds. Like, she doesn't just try to run or, like, defend herself. She goes on the offensive. She starts using her knowledge of the code to actually fight back.
It's such a turning point for her character, She's not just reacting to Selena anymore, like, she is taking control. I mean, remember at the beginning of the book how intimidated she was, and now she's, like, using Selena's own tactics against her.
Totally. And it works. You can, like, practically feel Selena's frustration as Alice is, like, dismantling the very fabric of the glitch. It's so cool.
That moment where Alice reminds Selena that she's still bound by, like, the rules of her own creation.
Oh, I know.
Talk about a power shift.
Right. It's like Alice exposes this, like, ultimate vulnerability at the heart of this, like, seemingly perfect digital world.
And then just like that, silence. Alice is back in her apartment, and it's like the weight of the headset is this stark reminder of this virtual battle she was just in.
The way that the author describes that transition back to reality always gets to me. Like, the silence after all that chaos, and then the hum of the city starts to seep back in. It's like she's waking up from a dream,
Absolutely. And it makes you realize, like, how easy it would be to get lost in that digital world. Like, forget what it feels like to exist, in reality with all its, like, imperfections.
For sure. But even though the glitch is gone, it seems like the fight isn't over. Remember Rhys, Alice's ally? He makes this comment about how the battle for reality is never really finished. What do you think he means by that?
Oh, that's such a good line. I think it speaks to that like constant struggle that we face, especially now in a world that's so dominated by technology. It's so easy to get swept up in that, like that curated online world and kind of lose sight of what's real, what's authentic.
Yeah, it's like a battle that we fight every day, even in small ways.
Right.
Like choosing to actually connect with the people around us instead of just scrolling through our phones or facing our problems, instead of just like, escaping into distractions.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this chapter so powerful. It's not just about Alice defeating like a villain in a video game. It's about recognizing that this fight for authenticity, for a life that's actually grounded in reality, it's an ongoing thing.
Totally. And that leads us to that incredibly powerful ending. Alice takes off a headset, and she's just left looking out at the city lights. It's such a simple scene, but it speaks volumes. It's like you can feel the weight of the real world, like settling back on her shoulders, like no more do-overs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's such a contrast to like those digital battles that she was facing in the glitch.
Mm.
There's no more resetting the game. There are no more second chances. This is it. This is like life on life's terms now.
And yet there's this sense of hopefulness there, too. Like she's finally free from Selena's control. What do you think? Did you get that same feeling?
Yeah, definitely. And it's in the way that she's looking at the city lights. There's this kind of like newfound determination in her expression, in her eyes. It's like she's acknowledging that like, yeah, the real world is messy, but she's also like, I'm here for it.
That's a powerful message, especially to end the book on. It makes you realize that the most like satisfying journeys, I guess, aren't about escaping into these perfect digital worlds. It's about confronting those like complexities of our own lives.
Yeah, 100%. And about like finding the courage to like actually choose reality, to be present in it, even with all of its imperfections. And I think that's a choice that we're all faced with like every day.
So to wrap things up, what would you say is like the biggest takeaway from The Reckoning and from The Glitch as a whole?
I don't know. For me, I think it's just this reminder that like true growth happens when we like actually engage with the real world, not when we try to escape from it. It's a reminder that like technology can be amazing. It can be a tool, but it can also be this really dangerous distraction. And like ultimately, it's up to us to decide how we're going to use it and how we're going to choose to live our lives.
That is such a powerful thought to leave our listeners with. So the next time you find yourself wanting to escape, remember Alice's journey. Remember, like, the importance of authenticity, the strength that comes from facing reality head on, and the beauty that can be found in, like, the messy, unpredictable journey of, just life.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on our deep dive into The Glitch. The Glitch is AI-assisted storytelling conducted by M.K. Rigsby.